been saying with this coverage since yesterday, since the news broke. Just to catch you up, the woman fatally shot by an ICE agent in Minneapolis on Wednesday has been identified as Renee Nicole Good, a 37-year-old mother and U.S. citizen. Again, a lot to still sort of parse out. We heard from the Trump administration. They're backing the actions of those ICE agents. They say that she rammed her car into an agent. However, there are videos circulating on social media now picked up by news sites, including our content partners over there at Care 11 in Minneapolis, painting a different picture. But we want to bring in Quentin Williams, former FBI agent and federal prosecutor. Quentin, man, thank you for your time.
Oh, my pleasure, Nick.
As I mentioned before, a lot to parse out with this incident. I just want to ask you, just plainly, you got a chance to look at the situation, look at the video. What did you see?
So I saw a woman who was trying to drive away after being asked to step out of the car. And as she was driving away, an officer who was in front of the car was moving around to the driver's side. And at that point, he unholstered his weapon as she started to move in that right. She started moving. He unholstered his weapon and he shot her. And I am extremely concerned with the tactics of the officer, number one, to get to the point where he was in the line of the car's movement. And then I'm concerned with his decision to fatally shoot her when she was moving.
Speaking of that, what are the factors to determine whether, deadly force is justified in a situation, especially when you're talking about a federal law enforcement officer?
Right. So a law enforcement officer has to feel like they are in imminent threat of death in order to use lethal force. And there's case law on it that states they have to have a good faith that they are in danger. And so that's what his argument will be, no doubt. But the question is, was he in danger? And given the positioning of his body, the positioning of the car, the vehicle as it was moving, the speed at which it was moving, and everything that led up to this, all the circumstances that led up to that moment, was it reasonable for him to feel like he was in danger? You're going to have two different standards. There's no doubt there will be a civil lawsuit. So there are two different standards that are going to have to be met. One is on the criminal side and one is on the civil side. And we will let the courts make that decision. But for me, my concern is that he could have moved out of the way and she may have driven off, but they would have had her license plate and they could have, seen another day with her. That was the case.
As you mentioned, there'd be a criminal case, a civil case, but I think a lot of questions. The big question, the question I've been getting, what are the next steps? Governor Walz, obviously the governor of Minnesota says the Trump administration says, hey, the state is not going to have any role in this investigation. In a federal officer involved shooting, is it normal for the state? I guess it's a two-part question. What are the next steps? In a federal officer involved shooting, does the state normally step in, or would the state normally step in?
Normally, the federal government would be the one to investigate it and then prosecute it if necessary. We're in very different times now, though, and so there is a lack of trust that will be done on the federal level. And there are very capable people with the FBI who are going to investigate this, but there's a lack of trust that the information from those very capable people will get to the Attorney General's desk and she will pursue something. So I wouldn't doubt that the state is going to investigate it. Whether the state prosecutes it is another question, because there's a supremacy clause which will defer to the federal government in with these kinds of issues. I don't know that the state's going to have its day in court, but one thing that the state will have an opportunity to do is to investigate what happened, so they can lay the foundation, or the factual foundation, for the case. If there is when there's a different administration in office, that administration might want to pursue the case in 3 years.
Everybody saw what happened, or most people saw what happened from the video. The federal government has its story. Advocates, community leaders, the governor, the mayor there in Minneapolis have their story. When it comes to this case, what kinds of evidence are important, or most important, when establishing exactly what happened, what played out?
Number one thing that's going to help, and they don't wear body cameras. The Homeland Security agents don't wear body cameras, what I've seen, and they didn't have them on that day. But that video is going to be very important, and all angles of the video will be very important. They will also examine all the forensics on the bullet casings and everything that is of forensic significance. But that video is probably the most important thing that will drive this case.
And another question that comes to mind before I get you out of here, Quentin, is there universal like a training standard for law enforcement officers when it comes to, especially at the federal level, when it comes to shooting at a moving vehicle?
Yes, the vehicle has to offer imminent danger to the officer or someone else. That's the standard. And in this case, the officer will say that he was in danger of losing his life. So that's going to be the issue, and that will be the way they respond. The training is a very important question, because we don't know how these agents have been trained. There's been an uptick in the number of agents that have come on duty, and we don't know exactly what their training regimen is. That's something that, through the investigation, will obviously be exposed. So we will know it at some point. It's really important to understand that in order to have a functioning, successful law enforcement agency, just like any business, you have to have 4 components. You have to have great selection. You have to have great training. You have to have accountability, and that accountability is both positive and negative. So discipline and reward. And then you have to have retention methodologies in place. But if you don't get all 4 of those right, you're going to have a house of cards. So if you select the wrong people, but you train them well, it doesn't matter. I think in this case, the selection and the training have been suspect. So who are they selecting? And then how are they training them? Now we see the third aspect of that. Are they making them accountable? Could be in question. We have a lot to examine here, obviously.
Yeah, a lot. Before I get you out of here, I want to pick your brain about this one. So according to Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, also we heard from J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, the officer was previously rammed and dragged by a car back in June last year, 2025. He had a serious leg injury. He had dozens of stitches. Should he have still been on duty? Should he have been back on duty? I asked that because the administration threw that out there, and alluded to him being traumatized. And in a situation like this, should he have been back on duty?
Now, every case is different, so I wouldn't be able to comment on whether he should have been, but there should have been a process to get back on duty. And
Okay.
that process would include therapy, time to recover, and then, of course, an assessment. And I don't know that any of that was done with an assessment or therapy. So we'll find out. That's
Yeah.
the one thing that's so good about the investigation. If it's done thoroughly, is we'll find out all that information, because it's going to be pertinent to get into the state of mind of the agent. Still, though, his actions are going to have to have been reasonable.
Yeah, again, a lot to sort out here. We're just at the beginning of this. Quentin Williams, former FBI agent, federal prosecutor. Quentin, man, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Nick. Have a great day.
You too.